I think I know how Djimon Hounsou was originally going to appear in Gladiator 2. Djimon Hounsou was originally meant to return as Juba in Gladiator 2, and I think I've figured out what his role would be and how the movie happened without him. Hounsou was one of Russell Crowe's main co-stars in Ridley Scott's original Gladiator, as he played Juba, a fighter from Nubia who is thrown into the gladiator arena with Maximus. He survived Gladiator's ending, giving me some hope that he'd return in the sequel once it was officially announced. For some time, it appeared that this would happen, as reports circulated that Hounsou would be in Gladiator 2. Disappointment came when it was later revealed that Hounsou's Juba was among Gladiator 2's missing characters. The actor confirmed the news, citing a pure accident, but assuring that I was going to be part of it. The reason why Djimon Hounsou is not in Gladiator 2 is still somewhat murky, although scheduling conflicts are the most likely explanation. Regardless of the reason, his absence and planned role meant Gladiator 2 had to change and evolve to be a story without Hounsou's Juba. After watching the movie, I realized what story he could have initially been involved in. Gladiator 2's Numidia sequence creates a connection to Djimon Hounsou's Juba. When looking at Gladiator 2 and trying to figure out where Juba could have fit in, one must first consider what would have happened to the character after Gladiator's ending. He is freed from being a gladiator once Maximus kills Commodus and declares the slaves are free. He's last seen burying Maximus' figures of his wife and son in the sand of the Colosseum, before he likely leaves Rome for good. Since Juba was originally from Nubia before he was captured, it would make sense for him to return to Africa and try to find his wife and son. Although the majority of Gladiator 2 takes place in Rome, the opening sequence with Lucius explores his life in Numidia, a northern part of Africa, as the Roman army approaches for battle. This gives the movie a minor but potentially important connection to Juba. Numidia and Nubia are both located in the northern part of Africa. Gladiator 2 could have had Lucius find a new life for himself in any part of the world. Scott's decision to have him settle down in the northern regions of Africa is notable because of Juba's origin. It is possible that Gladiator 2's Numidia battle was originally meant to be a sequence set in Nubia to more directly connect to Juba. However, Numidia also could be where Djimon Hounsou's character was meant to reside all those years after Gladiator. He could have found his lost family and traveled to this new region to start a new life for themselves, one where they believed they'd be safe from the Roman Empire. In any case, this is the part of Gladiator 2 that makes the most sense for Juba to have been involved before Hounsou couldn't appear. Djimon Hounsou's Juba was likely replaced by Peter Mensah's character in Gladiator 2. Since it's confirmed that Hounsou was meant to return as Juba in Gladiator 2, Ridley Scott would have been left with two options that did not involve recasting once the actor's return became impossible. The first would be to completely rewrite the script and remove the sequences that Juba was involved in. The second option would be rewriting the script to a lesser degree to replace Juba with a brand new character. The latter would be easier for Scott and writers David Scarpa and Peter Craig, which could be how Gladiator 2 came to include Peter Mensah's Jugaratha. Jugaratha is introduced in Gladiator 2 as the chieftain of Numidia and a mentor to Lucius. He's responsible for leading the Numidian army into battle with Rome and accompanies Lucius in the slave trade afterward. Mensah's character plays a pivotal role early on thanks to how close his relationship with Lucius is. It's clear from his standing in Numidia that Jugaratha was a skilled warrior in his past as well, although the injuries he sustained in the battle left him without much strength to fight the baboons later on. Although it's not confirmed, and Scott has not addressed it, I think that Jugaratha replaced Juba once Hounsou could not reprise his role. Both characters are wise leaders and skilled fighters, and it's easy to imagine Juba occupying the same role in the narrative. There's not many other places where Hounsou's character would naturally fit into Gladiator 2's story based on how it is currently constructed. But with only a few minor changes, Juba could have easily played the same role as Jugaratha. As for the timeline of how these events could have played out, there's a short window for it to work. Djimon Hounsou's expected Gladiator 2 return was first reported on April 28, 2023, by TR, but Peter Mensah was cast a few weeks later on May 18, 2023. It's worth noting that Hounsou's return was never officially confirmed ahead of Mensah's casting, possibly because everyone was still trying to work out the schedule. It's possible, though, that Scott already sensed that it wouldn't work before April 28th and wrote Juba out and Jugaratha in. Djimon Hounsou could have improved Gladiator 2 if this theory about Juba's role is right. My theory about Juba's original role in Gladiator 2 shows an example of how the movie could have been slightly better. Peter Mensah does a great job as Jugaratha, but the character is a fresh face, and he dies too early on to get attached. This would not be the case with Juba. Seeing Djimon Hounsou return to the role and fight alongside Lucius would have been a great moment for the franchise. Furthermore, his death would have a greater impact on viewers like myself, who are fans of the original film or Hounsou as a performer. This proposed role for Juba also would have meant that Gladiator 2 would see one of Maximus' best allies in the arena go on to mentor his son. Given Lucius' secret identity at this time, there's a chance that neither of them would fully realize how their paths are connected. If anything, Lucius could have recognized Juba and known about his history in Rome while keeping his actual name a secret. Gladiator 2 could have also taken a different approach and explained that Lucius went to Numidia specifically to be protected by a trusted ally of his biological father. Although Gladiator 2 references Maximus and the original movie a bit too much at times, including Juba in this capacity would still have benefited the film. I would have loved to learn what happened to Hounsou's character next, and the idea of him directly interacting with Maximus' son has the potential for great emotional scenes. All the moments of Jugaratha and Lucius that call back to Juba and Maximus would be that much more powerful and resonate deeper with viewers. Djimon Hounsou's Gladiator 2 absence allows for a better return in Gladiator 3. As much as I would have loved to see Djimon Hounsou return for Gladiator 2, his absence may be a blessing in disguise if his role was originally meant to mirror Jugaratha's arc. There is now the opportunity for Juba to be featured in Gladiator 3. Ridley Scott is developing another movie in the franchise and has confirmed some of the script has already been written. While there's no timetable for when Gladiator 3 will be released, it should happen much sooner than the gap between the first two films. This could mean Hounsou gets another chance to return as Juba. Figuring out how and where Juba could factor into Gladiator 3 is difficult without knowing exactly where Scott plans to take the franchise next. However, Lucius, and possibly even Maximus, are sure to be involved in what comes after Gladiator 2's ending. If word spreads of what Lucius did and his connection to Maximus, that could lead Juba to seek him out and congratulate him on finishing the goal that his father had started. That might give Hounsou a much better role in a third film than he could have had in Gladiator 2.